Hello. Happy evening. If it isn't evening for you, it is now. This is a fun little game where Craigory is screaming up at the sky, "You're in love with who?" I'm Kraken. I'm
Yeah,
playing Craigory.
and I'm Hex. I'm playing Matthias, fresh off of What Would Ragger Do?
It's
So,
been a fun and interesting week for many people around this area.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Hex, what is Craigory currently hearing as he is simply having a nice chill time in network, reading a book?
So, he's Matthias left Decimal first of all, Decimal arrived at Network and was let in to go knock on Matthias's door because Matthias wasn't waiting for him like he usually was. Um And then there was, a big ol' shuffle kerfuffle of Changeling rapidly getting ready, and then the two of them going on their usual walkies. Uh, they were probably gone for a little bit longer than normal, and then Matthias walks in the front door, speed walks to the stairs, sprints up the stairs, runs to his room, slams the door, and about 10 seconds later, you just hear a muffled scream.
Everything about this week is so goddamn weird. Well, Matthias, unfortunately, the walls are not maybe as soundproof as perhaps you had been hoping because there is somewhat shortly a knock at the door.
Mm-hmm. The
Hey,
screaming does abruptly stop.
Matthias, you good?
There's a long pause, and then just the most forlorn. No.
Can I come in about it?
Another pause. Sure.
Lukewarm, but he'll take it.
As you enter into Matthias's room, uh, it's pretty much Changeling has thrown himself onto the bed, is currently like ripping pillow in a death grip, clearly had been screaming, not just, 10 seconds prior. Uh, if you would like to roll me a funny little insight, you can do that, but
I'd
like
love to roll a funny little insight.
that's the immediate readings.
Fucking hell.
Mhm.
Uh, my boy, please tell me you got at least a +1 to this. It's not going to save it, but please. Yeah, all right. 8.
An 8. That's I mean, again, Matthias is usually pretty easy to read, so you don't get a lot, but yeah, you can pretty much tell that he is not okay. Uh, he's question mark scared? Question mark? Question mark? Distressed? Question mark? It's one of those two, maybe. It's definitely not like good emotions happening naturally, but like that's all I can give you with an 8.
Yeah. Gregory, like, standing kind of just inside the door frame, mental calculus going, fingers tapping on arm. I'm gonna be real. The vibes have been weird all week. Do I need to like have a talk with Decimal? Did something happen?
Uh, I you- I um as the impulse to say no, nothing happened versus something very clearly did happen. I it's a lot. A lot, a lot.
Well, I've got nowhere else to be. I can lend an ear.
Um yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah. And he kind of awkwardly shuffles his way to not be laying all splayed across his bed, but instead to be sitting. He has brought the pillow with him, however. So he's just kind of hugging that.
Emotional support pillow.
Yes.
Yeah. Craigory will take a seat. Matthias is a much easier nut to crack than goddamn Decimal. This smells
Yeah.
like answers.
Yeah. Yeah. Craigory can finally get some answers as to why the fuck Decimal's been off key in his fucking head. Like,
Yeah, so he's just gonna throw his first guess out there. Like, are you fighting? Is that what's.
no, actually, no. No. Uh we've been talking um about a lot of things. Um he is trying so hard to figure out where to even begin. And eventually he kind of settles on it's it 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 started with the ball.
Like, at the ball or in consequence of the ball?
Consequence of it, actually, now that I am thinking about it. Um I well, I've been having nightmares. Um which you know Craigory is nothing new. He's very prone to nightmares.
Yeah, but this is new material. Just gonna
Mm-hmm.
nod. Yeah, that was all a little scary.
I um I was having nightmares about how I almost didn't go, and um when Decimal dropped, I and he just kind of lets that hang, and I'm sure Craigory can infer what he's kind of getting at there.
Oh, like he gets that almost immediately. He can make those dots.
Yeah,
Nod.
and he just kind of he's like makes like a roll move like a moving along gesture with his hand, kind of rolling it, and he says, "I was apparently very off last week, and Decimal asked, and I was explaining this, um, and he wasn't getting it."
He wouldn't. So I guess you just didn't take that overall well. That's
N-
sucks, but doesn't
no,
surprise me.
no, I mean, well, that's what started this. I he is starting to turn a little pink, and because this is territory that he has not broached with Craigory at all, and he doesn't quite. He's trying to find the words to figure out how to word this, and he's not doing well. I'm gonna be real with you. Uh, Eventually he settles on, I I get crushes really easy.
Oh, you too? That makes sense, actually.
What? Wait, what?
What? What? Uh, I mean,
He's
yes.
blinking at you, so confused.
Gregory making a big shrug, like, I mean, how do I put this? It's easy to develop fast crushes when it feels, on my end at least, it felt like you could get dropped at any moment. Yeah, I don't know. Wait, oh my god. Oh no. I'm gonna have Krager roll an insight.
Yeah. Oh, good. He put the pieces together.
I'm glad the dice agreed with me on this. Because that's a 19
Hell
insight.
yeah. Hell yeah.
Because he's thinking like, okay, that makes like a baseline sense to me talking through it, and then oh no, just look, just like, oh no, oh you didn't, oh no,
He gives a miserable little nod that confirms he did.
oh my god. Gregory's head goes in his hand. Other pats Matthias' shoulder. Just, oh my god, no wonder he's been Shostakovich all week.
I I be honest, I didn't expect him to show today after that. Cause I and I tried to I tried to talk with someone about it. He had mentioned I should talk to Memoir about some Echo jewelry before that happened, and I tried to talk with Memoir about it, but I don't think he I mean he tried, but I don't think he got it. That's not the right word. It
Okay,
just
good to
didn't.
know, I guess.
It didn't pan out the way I thought it might.
What did you at least? Okay, did the echo go good at least then?
Oh, well, yes, actually, and he digs around in his pocket, and he's not wearing it presently, just because with his gloves it doesn't quite fit. But he produces a ring with a piece of jewelry in it. Um, Still kind of learning. Apparently I'm a little loud.
Huh. Well, like could also link up with my kit. Gonna flick finger against earring. Get practicing.
That okay. Okay. I don't know how to do that quite yet. But yeah, we can do that at some point.
Yeah, we'll get that sorted. Not that that isn't important, but back to the important thing.
Uh, right, right.
Gregory in his head is now thinking about how earlier this week, um, Desmond went like suddenly AWOL over the pack link for like a hot minute and then came back like worse
Yeah,
and
yeah,
did not and would not elaborate on that when Gregory came to go get his hurt ass.
yeah.
So this at least he doesn't know what stupid thing Decimal did because he is convinced that it was stupid, but at least now
Mhm.
has context and he's like, okay, yeah, I can see how this would drive Decimal to do something real stupid.
Yeah. 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 Matthias, he kind of fumbles a little. He's trying to figure out how to continue this story because does Craigory mention like about like that explains earlier in the week or anything like that?
I think I think he's trying to keep this about Matthias, but would he's a person who thinks aloud.
Mm-hmm.
So he mutters it to himself.
Okay.
Just
Matthias kind of well, he naturally catches that. I'm sorry. His
yeah,
passive is a 23.
absolutely.
Uh I'm sorry, a 24. Um
Oh, well, pardon you.
pardon me, it was a 24. Um and he just kind of he actually nods along like yeah, he mentioned that he spoke with the the weave.
Huh.
Um
Okay.
it 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 wasn't a very pleasant experience for him.
Noted. Thank you for this information.
Um
Tucking that away.
but he 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 took me somewhere. I don't quite remember the path. It was well, I think Karo might have been having a little fun. Uh but he he and it he's he realizes now that it sounds really really lame to say this out loud with the weight that he's going to attach to it.
Well, here's also the thing. The way that this is going, Gregory is now just straight up like patting Matthias's back and nodding sympathetically and is like consolingly gonna say, I if it's tough to say, like, I get it. You know, it sucks to get kindly but soundly rejected. Like that does suck. I
Um,
feel you.
um, actually, Craigory,
What do you mean actually?
he
Hello?
he didn't reject me. Craigory. Um, he, uh, he, uh, he held my hand, and,
He did what?
and Matthias flinches from that outburst.
There's like, yeah, hold on, I'm sorry, Yvonne. He did what?
He, he, he wasn't, I mean, he couldn't vocalize at the time, which, I mean, I know, I get it, I do, um, but he it wanted me to hold his hand, and then I, he showed me some Taroka cards, and I have a vague understanding, but I don't, I'm not the most versed, so I wasn't sure exactly what he was trying to say, but then I and then he and I um Craigory, you don't even need to roll an insight for this. Matthias is starting to panic.
That's so funny, the timing of you saying that, because this is the point where Craigory would be getting up and pacing. He's got the zoomies. This is the most incredible, outrageous news he's heard in a while. He's got zoomies. Disbelief and delight. Incredulous.
All while Matthias is slowly starting to panic.
Yeah, I think it would take a moment for Craigory to clock in back in enough to see it, because he's busy having his own yo, no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, on the spinning background and heels to refocus back on Matthias and seeing that, he's like, well, wait, okay, deep breaths. Hey, good. Okay, what's the problem? Hey.
Um, I he he didn't say it, but the gesture was enough. I know. I can read him very well. Um,
Good, glad, needed.
I I and I think I think, I mean, well, I don't think, I know it, this is more than just a crush, and that more than anything terrifies him, apparently, Craigory.
Yeah. Yes. I would almost accuse him of being an imposter if it didn't, actually.
I
But I mean, it's like you said. It sounds like he's trying to push past that, which is frankly astounding. So, like, is this not all good news?
I don't know. I I don't know. It was it was fine if it was just a crush. Like, I mean, my therapist says those fade away. That's, that's fine, and that they'll happen, and but this is this is more than that, and I don't know what to I don't know. I almost ran, but um I didn't. Uh I
I'm amazed neither of you ran, actually. Whew, boy. Craigory has gotten some zoomies out and is sitting back down.
Yep. Yep. I we we agreed to give it a week, so that I could think about this, and I and I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's not like anything needs to happen fast or necessarily be different hugely. When Lynn and I sort of talked all that out, I mean, felt huge, but just looking at the bare bones of it, not a bunch actually changed.
Matthias is listening very intently.
Like, us two were kind of already there and doing that emotionally. It just, we hadn't put a name to it yet. So, emotionally, it felt huge, felt great, wonderful, but functionally, not much actually changed. It was more the perspective of it.
But you were already doing the whole together thing. And this is
I
I
think what I'm trying to say is just because you two may decide to define or do some things differently doesn't mean it needs to suddenly change and become that, or like you get to decide the milestones, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
but
And the milestones can be
I,
baby steps.
I don't even know what milestones there are. I
That's
don't
kind of the trick of it. You get to make them up.
what? But that that can't be, right? That's he looks he's panicking, but for different, maybe possibly different reasons, because this is new information, and this is exactly what he was not expecting to get.
What do you mean there's no rules?
Yeah, what do you mean there's no rules? What do you mean, like, I thought there were rules. That's the whole point of, like, there's expectations, and there's expectations, right? What do you mean?
Well, okay. I'm thinking that there's a lot of expectations and assumptions both of you have that are going into this that are a lot scary, but like okay, like Lynn and me, for example, just kind of like hands gesturing.
Yep.
Lynn and me. So like we're partners, we live together, like we agree it's still a fact. We're together, but we also like we don't kiss. That's not a thing we are interested in with each other, but that doesn't make what's going on with us less than, even though I think people would expect it to be a thing, but it's not. So like that sort of thing. If occasionally hand-holding is like the preferred or peak of physical affection, that's what you guys can decide is the thing.
Matthias hears this, takes it in, and then very quietly says, what if he wants to try something else and I can't?
Then he has to listen to and respect that, and vice versa. And if either one of you doesn't do that, then I'm going to run into problems because I don't know where my shovel top loyalties lie in this.
What? Matthias has never heard the phrase shovel talk before.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I'd call this a trope. There's a bit of a tradition that when people get together, everyone, I mean, we're talking, you're aware of this. There's a big potential when you decide to get closer with someone that's pretty vulnerable, and there's a increased capacity to hurt each other, accidentally or intentionally.
He nods.
So shovel talk is basically referring to someone who is like generally happy for you that this is happening, but also must clarify that if you end up hurting the other person, that they're going to get you. It's usually meant in complete jest. It's kind of a spirit of the thing.
Thank God you clarified that bit.
It is usually
Craigory.
meant in jest. So, for example, when Lynn and I became a thing, Hattie, you've met Hattie. He came over and
yes.
he gave me a bit of a talking to. You know, you better not break her heart, sort of thing.
And this is normal.
It's pretty normal. It's like Gregory's thinking hard about this because he's made sure to specify that's usually in jest, and that's how he would do it. It's like it's kind of like just expressing. There's kind of a loyalty aspect to it. There's kind of that's why I have kind of a conflicted thing in this, in that Decimo's my brother, and I'm also his warlock, and therefore you'd think I'd be quote unquote most on his side in the defense of things. But I'm being completely realistic. It is statistically way more likely that your feelings would get bruised more easily in this sort of thing.
He kind of nods along like, okay, I think I get this. I think I get it. All right. Okay.
It's not impossible to hurt Decimal's feelings or make him upset. I know that it is. It can be kind of easy, actually. But point being, it's usually in jest, and it's also kind of treated as a celebration or like a mark of like it's kind of treated like a rite of passage, I guess.
Like a ritual.
Actually, it's not a bad word for it.
Matthias kind of nods, and is now filing away that he might apparently get a quote-unquote shovel talk from a couple of people.
Maybe he might, who knows?
If he might, who knows? He isn't sure what to make of this. He doesn't think he could handle that, but it's
Yeah,
okay. That's if things pan out.
yeah.
That's the other thing, is just waiting for things to pan out.
Craigory's kind of nodding to himself. Lynn might have more insight on this. She's the one with a big family, and therefore, from what I've seen, big families get big invested in what goes on within their people's lives.
Uh, right. But Decimal doesn't have that, so um,
Yeah, things should be real calm. And
okay.
also the fact that uh, Decimal's family, like, we know him and we know better than to corner him about this kind of stuff. We are trying not to have this further blow up in either of your faces. This week has already been really weird in the brain and in the vibes.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay. Um, that's just a new thing now that he gets to worry about, is shovel talk. Uh,
Oops.
oops. Thanks, Craigory. But
Oops, you do.
he kind of lapses into a silence because he's not sure what else to like. He kind of he got out the whole like the problem, which is, oh god, I'm in love. Uh
Mm-hmm.
and Craigory has thus informed him there are no rules, you're free, and he's just like, what the fuck do you mean? Which
That's not the
which
comforting statement you think it is.
actually, Craigory, roll an insight for me.
Oh, fantastic.
I think it would be insight anyway.
Makes sense. Thank you. Good.
Uh-oh.
Dirty 20, baby.
Oh fuck yeah. Craigory, Matthias has gotten better, but he's still a person who needs rules. He's still a person that needs guidelines he can follow. Um Again, he's getting better. He's getting much better. He's made a lot of progress, actually. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
The fact that you're even having this conversation is testament enough to that. But you do definitely recall that, yeah, he kind of needs some rules to, I wouldn't even call
This
it
is,
function, but just to not panic, he needs that.
yeah, like, this is kind of the root of why Gregory recruited Decimal to come help in the
Yeah.
rehabilitation in the first place. At the
Yeah.
fundamental core, Gregory's extremely independent.
Yeah.
He is comfortable making his own rules. Matthias is not.
Yeah. Yeah. Not yet. Not yet. So Craigory manages to recall, right, he needs rules to, so telling him there are no rules may not be the most like
That's a
the
Gregory
most
happy
help.
place, not a Matthias happy
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, you guys have set out a week to think about this and come down from any emotional turmoils and wrap your brains around it. So, why not use that time to kind of set up some guidelines or questions, or just kind of make a list of things.
Matthias thinks about that. Because, okay, that makes sense. He... I think I can do that. I don't know what's expected in a relationship.
I think,
Normally, and
hmm,
maybe if I had that to go off of, I could go from there.
potentially.
He kind of winces because that just
Yeah.
sounds lame in his head.
The other angle that may also help out is more the question of what would you want out of this sort of thing.
I don't know. I
Okay,
don't know.
you can okay, so Craigory is going to reach into Hammerspace for pen and paper.
Yeah! I knew it
Making
was
a
a matter
list,
of
baby.
time.
We're making a list, baby.
Yeah, the nerds are doing it.
Where is my D10? We have not fumbled. There is pen and paper. Pen go
Oh,
clicky.
thank God.
We're not summoning bees into the fucking bedroom today, lads.
Thank God.
So then, okay, I think here's an approach could do. Pass one of this. Just start listing out things we think happen, I guess, in a relationship, and then just sort of go through and it's like, is that something you'd actually want?
And he
So, like,
nods.
set out the framework.
He nods. Like, okay, I can do that.
Gregory's gonna put 1 dot. Look at Matthias. So how did the holding hands go?
Um, it I mean, it went. That was kind of the only thing that kept me from running.
Okay.
It that's yeah. But he couldn't do it a second time. So, um, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. He's you notice he's turning faintly pink.
He didn't hate it.
He didn't hate it.
Lukewarm in words.
He might in fact even have said might even say he enjoyed that, except the circumstances were very confusing and very alarming. But now that he's thinking back on it, he turns a little pink.
Okay. We'll put that as like a question. Or no, actually, this list is about you. So we'll put that down because then this is also something that can later be taken and negotiated. Point is, this is a first pass. This is first draft. Gregory, now think yourself, what is expected in relationships? He is asking me, the aerospec guy. It's
Matthias is
better
asking the
than
worst
memoir.
people.
I'm sure this is
Matthias,
going better than memoir.
yeah, he at least has enough information to say, I know I don't have the best framework for that. But I mean, I I know that really I've seen the mayor and his husband. How
You know what?
they
That
act.
actually might be a better framework than. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Um, Tell me stuff. I guess you've noticed about the spookies.
The Nope, he's not going to comment on that. He's going to accept it. He's just going to accept that they're called the Spookies.
What do you mean you're casual about this?
Yeah, what do you mean you're so casual about the mayor and his husband? That's the mayor and his husband.
Unfortunately,
Ex-
the mayor and his
Except
husband
no,
are also kind of Lynn's family, and therefore Craigory
yeah,
has had to hard one force himself to be casual about it.
yeah. Except not even that. Matthias would refer to them as the mayor and Mr. Ash because he respects Asclepius too much to just default him to the husband.
I love how this is the exact opposite in energy as Abigail calling Ash the trophy husband.
Oh my god, if he heard that, he would be horrified for Asclepius, who I think enjoyed that.
Uh, man.
But anyway, so Matthias thinks about that and he recalls um he starts kind of listing down the things that he recognizes that they do. They'll hold hands, they hug each other, they'll kiss each other. He notes that they give each other gifts. He even recalls somebody at some point mentioning that Asclepius's holy symbol was a gift from Jacques. So like that, they give each other gifts. They live
Craigory circles
together.
that one
Yeah.
because that's already been going down. So, like, that's.
Yeah, that's been going down for a hot second, and
Yeah.
Matthias hasn't pieced that bit together yet.
Craigory circling it.
Because Decimal has given Matthias both the his coat and the gift, the D4, and Matthias gave him a perpetual lunchbox. So like
Yep. Craigory's also
these
going to note as Matthias is listening to these things, like, okay. So, minus the gift stuff, this is all kind of like physical affection things, which I'm getting. Uh, that's one way to show affection. Someone doesn't have to be the be all end all or even be a part of things. Something I notice about Jackson Asclepius is like they have each other's backs. They're both leaders in this town, and they support and have each other's backs. And I think that's a big part of their relationship.
Matthias kind of blinks because he didn't consider that.
So I think then also pen tapping on the paper. And that's the same with me and Lynn. Like, can't speak for the spookies, but Lynn and I, there's also like element of trust is big for us.
He nods.
I It's not that I trust Lynn above all else, but there's parts of me and our experiences where we can understand bits of each other that maybe other people don't necessarily. And there's a closeness in that. And sometimes that trust has actually been broken, and that's felt awful. And it was meaningful and impactful to address and fix that.
He nods. Cause he can kind of see that, and like he can he can uh he can see like he he can apply some of that to a little bit about like between him and Decimal to a degree. Like he's kind of, you know, marking like in his head like that does seem like the two of us sometimes. That, you know, Decimal has certainly told me some Decimal has told him some things that he has not told other people.
Mm-hmm. Or even like recognizing like this is something I think we could become. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Decimal is the one who recognized that before Matthias.
Ha!
Which it's just man.
My God, I blabbed my mouth to him. Uh-oh.
um so he kind of nods at that, and then he says they communicate with each other. Um
Yeah.
uh and now that he's been given the not like the nudge of let's not consider the physicality thing,
Yeah.
you notice he's starting to calm down a tiny bit more. Because he's so fucking easy to read. But he's still unsure and nervous and like he's also kind of trying to rack his brain to figure out like what else uh
Craigory running through his head. Fucking love languages.
what are the love languages. Yeah, Matthias has no idea.
Yeah.
That might be a research point for him in the future, because he like Craigory can mention love languages and Matthias will tilt his head and resolve that he needs to go check some books out.
I'm sure the library's gotta have something.
Yeah. And then the thought comes to his head unbidden that like Decimal is going to laugh at him if he finds out, which also kind of makes him smile.
It's gonna get like a poke in the cheek.
What? Huh?
You're smiling a little. That's good. That's an
Um
improvement. What you thinking about? What's pin down what's making you grin? Chase that.
just Decimal's gonna laugh if he finds out that I'm gonna do research about this.
Yeah.
And then he
You know
kind
what?
of thinks a moment. Oh, go ahead.
Craigory is just writing down on the list like I don't know, like able to laugh and have fun about each other. Because Craigory for sure will have seen some relationships where it just seems like people are not having fun with each other at all.
Yeah. It's one of those why are you with someone if you don't like being around them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Matthias sees that and he just kind of tilts his head like that's I mean that is that a really a qualifier? I
It's the kind of thing where if you take just one thing, one bit of the list we got going on here, that kind of doesn't mean much of anything else. And even if you just took kissing out of here and held on its own. That doesn't mean what's going on is a relationship or romantic. That's just like a thing people can decide to do with each other. It's kind of when you start putting a bunch of this together that it can start to infer things. Like, I've there's definitely been, look, okay, my aunt, bless her heart, can have some pretty terrible taste in women. I don't know or understand why and how long she was with this one. She, like, married, almost married. I didn't attend the to be wedding. There was going to be a wedding, and it just, they did nothing but argue. It was not a happy place, and I didn't want to be around that. Like, people can be there and just seem like they're not having fun or even like each other. So, yeah, sure, I think that can go on the list, that you can actually enjoy each other's company.
But then, why? He's kind of like, he's tilting his head a little bit of like, but then why would they still? Like,
That's
there's
a Janelope question, honestly. I can only guess because I've been too scared to ask, frankly. Because it kind of feels like the answer why they weren't happy was me.
oh,
This is supposed to be about you. Let's get back to you.
right. Sorry. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm the one who, like, it's the first example I thought of for, like, again, it's the kind of thing where, I don't know, maybe it started good, but then things turned sour, but it's can be hard to let go, or you keep trying to work at it and hope that it'll become better. And maybe you could laugh with each other once, but that hasn't happened in
Craigory, roll me an insight.
a while. Oh boy. Oops, doom and gloom talk. Craigory accidentally talks Matthias out of a relationship.
Not quite.
3.
Fuck. Yeah, no, you get nothing. I'm sorry.
I'm so sad. Oh no.
Matthias, from your perspective, Craigory, you start talking about that, and Matthias gets very quiet. And he looks sullen, but he doesn't say anything. And that's all I can give you.
She's like, I'm not trying to talk you out of this. This is not me trying to talk you out of this. I'm not saying that's going to happen or it happens to everyone.
No, it's not that. It's not that. Um, that just it made me think of when I was captive. That uh just kind of, it's not similar. it just sometimes I thought if I just, you know, behaved,
Be good.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that wasn't the case.
There's no pleasing some people.
Yeah. So I guess I can just say I get that kind of.
Yeah, and again, that can be an influence in any relationship. Like saying it aloud like that, I think of my drama. So
Mhm. You get a head tilt. He's curious, but he's also being respectful because you've already said this is about you and he doesn't want to derail you again.
but at the same time, it's like Kurt's pulling is like, oh man, what are my references? Well, they're all gonna come from my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, when I think about applying that to what I've experienced, that's like a parental thing for me. So again, any of these things individually can apply to any relationship with anyone.
Then what?
But Decimal doesn't make you feel like that, does he?
No, not at all. No, no.
There you go. That's the important bit. See?
What? But what? And he kind of he's struggling to find the right way to word this question. And he finally just settles on, then what makes it a relationship? Like there's like it I mean,
It's a relationship if you decide it's one. If you both decide it's one. Lynn and I were basically operating as we do, frankly, well before we decided to put a name to it.
he let me see here. Oh, honey, sweet honey child, you don't roll high enough for that. Damn.
Oh my god. What?
I was trying to see if he would recall something Decimal just said, and no, he's not
Ah,
remembering it.
no.
Yeah, that was a 3 on the dice.
No.
No. So he he kind of he kind of huffs and he's just like, but that's I mean, if that were the case, then I shouldn't be so scared about it, but just I don't know, the thought of the weight of it. And he kind of looks at you helplessly.
Earlier, you'd you'd ask me like, what if he wants more than the hand holding? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
that's is. Would you say that's kinda the origin point of the main anxiety?
maybe. Hmm.
It's probably one of them, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. It isn't that isn't the only I it's not the only thing, but yeah.
Okay, well, consider this. There doesn't have to be more, neither of you have to want more.
But what if we do?
If you do, then frankly, my advice might be kind of just do what we're doing right now. Talk it out, list things if you have to. Figure out and outline boundaries.
He
And those don't
nods.
have to
He
be set
doesn't.
in stone forever, but like
They can change.
they can change.
That gives him a moment of pause.
You can change your mind like at any point. I think maybe one of the biggest things that makes a relationship is deciding together when and how things change. And that can be from day to day. Like I could make the wild assumption that I don't think Decima would want to hold hands every day or often. That's an
Matthias
example
nods.
of a boundary that could be up to change and flux.
He nods. Like, okay, that makes perfect sense. Like, as evidenced by.
Today,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
so guidelines good, but also nothing has to be set in stone, if that makes sense.
He nods. Like, and that's the whole point of, well, talking.
Yeah. Which is going to be rough, not gonna lie, with Decimal.
Matthias actually shrugs a shoulder.
Well, okay, easier for you. Probably.
I can
The
read
fact
pretty well.
that he is willing to reach out and try is a lot. You know, that's putting the work in. Believe it or not, I don't think anyone finds this easy.
You don't?
No, like I'm sure Len and I make it look easy, but we've gotten there, but we've been at it for a while.
Flashback to the whole "I've betrayed that trust" mention.
Yeah. Just because we're doing good right now doesn't mean we're going to like not hit rough patches in the future.
Matthias kind of thinks about that and then nods like, okay. He's still he's clearly still nervous, but like a lot of it has calmed down.
Yeah. I think Craigory will kind of tapping pen in thought. Lynn and I don't kiss. That's one of our things. That's a boundary we have set up. That's just not something that is enjoyable for the both of us. But that could change for one day, and it might be the one day only. So, kind of think coming down to it, it's all just kind of communication.
Right.
I think it's
Okay.
all at its best when you're comfortable expressing what you want or need, which is tough. That is so tough.
I was gonna say, you're telling Matthias to express a want and a need.
Yeah, I have trouble with that. I frankly do. I have trouble with that. The instinct is to be the least trouble to people possible for me.
Matthias nods a little emphatically, like, yeah, he gets that.
But it's a little easier to be a little bit selfish with Lynn. And I didn't fault her ever before for expressing a need or want, and it helps to remember that I've never minded that from her, so she shouldn't mind it from me.
He kind of nods again. He's doing a lot of nodding, but like he's having a hard time with him words.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
I
like
think
it'll all be it'll be work and new and scary, but the trying is worth it. The willingness to try it is a big green flag, frankly.
Matthias looks. Yeah, I'm not gonna make you roll for this one because it's pretty obvious. Matthias looks kind of guilty.
Oh,
Like you're basically saying like Decimal's willing to try, and that's huge. And it's it's not a guilt trippy like you're being guilt tripped, but
yeah,
it is that
yeah,
he's willing to try. I'm scared, but the least I could do for him is try, you know? Like
yeah.
is meet him here, and he couldn't do that earlier because he was too afraid, and so he's looking a little guilty.
Craigory having to think back on what he's saying, backtrack extrapolating. He writes a new item down on the list. Being
Uh-huh.
able to say no.
Matthias gives him a look.
He's going to underline no.
I, you, you know I'm working on that.
I know, I know. It's, I know. And also, maybe a week just isn't enough time. And this is something to like either table and come back to later or just decide to
I,
say no and leave it.
I should at least have an answer for him by next week. I mean, he did all of that for me and more. He he did a lot.
Yeah, but that
And
doesn't mean you have to uh, pay him back. Quotes.
but I mean, he went to somebody that hurt him to get answers, and the least I could do is at least give him one.
The answer could just be you're not ready to be in any sort of relationship.
But that's kind of the thing. I don't I don't think the answer's no.
the answer can also be yes, but glacial.
He kind of gives a little snort at that.
Well, that's a real answer. It's a real possible answer.
Yes, but glacial.
And then between the two of you, you set the speed, and like you two could be doing the exact same thing you have been doing. This is coming from me, and I know this is not necessarily like universal opinion, but for my 2 cents, what's already going on could count.
You say that, and Matthias finally rolled high enough on his history check to recall. There's a little, kind of realization, because Decimal said the same thing.
Did he? Please perk up.
Yeah, he did. Would it really be that simple?
Yeah, it can be. You get to decide, you two get to decide what to call what you have going on.
He nods.
If Lynn and I decided that actually we needed a break from like hugging or tackling each other when coming into network, that sort of thing, like that wouldn't be us breaking up. That would just be kind of changing some parameters of our relationship, which still exists. And I know there are a lot of people who would call that not being bad at being romantic. But it's not their business and it's not their relationship.
He kind of nods there, like he's starting to see it. He's still like he's starting to get some of it. There's still a lot of it that is kind of scary and oh god what, but he's starting to get it, like uh
Okay, Craigory's gonna tear off a new piece of paper. You mentioned he writes down love languages. Okay, so your library list. That, you mentioned
Right.
interest in that. He's also going to put down next on the list queer platonic.
You get a big head tilt there. Like Matthias understands both of those words separately,
But
but
not together.
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't pulled out these words because I'm pretty sure a library book could give you a better definition than I can string together. But like the idea that pen tapping, because again, Krager's like not convinced he can do this term justice with his voice.
if it's, I mean, I could look it up, or I could ask. Nope, wrong button.
Oh,
I could ask Dr. Lithata, Li- Lit Litatha.
yeah. I mean, get your multiple sources and whatnot, because I'm sure there's different ways of defining it floating around. But like, essentially, I guess it's kind of the idea of committed relationships that exist outside of a traditional romance. Like, I would consider myself and Lynn to be queer platonic. Like, there's stuff we don't do that is typically expected of a relationship, especially people who are like, I think I would like to be a part of her life for the rest of my life. And
Matthias nods at that, like, okay.
for us, that's looking like living together, and there's kids, and I'm part of her extended family. That's what it looks like for us. For other people, that can be from the outside kind of just looking like best friends, but both people having decided there's a commitment there that signifies something more.
He the idea of this seems to sit a little better with him than the whole idea of love. Like, again, the nerves calm down another step, like,
Yeah.
as he's kind of taking this in.
Craigory's nodding himself as he talks for this. He just talks it out. He's like, yeah, I think maybe that's the key word. I think it's a commitment.
That I Okay. I think I get that.
So, like, give it a look up in the library. Ask your therapist if comfortable. Uh, Frankly, I kind of think this one and chasing this idea is what's going to help you to it the best.
He he kind of nods, and then after a moment, he sheepishly offers a hand, like, "Can I keep that?"
Oh,
Just in
yeah, of course. These are being written for you.
Oh, okay, good, good. Thank you, thank you.
Rip, rip, and like, that add items or topics as you see fit. This was the jumping off point.
And he nods because and looks. He kind of reads over the list again, and it's he turns a little red, embarrassed because it seems like such a silly damn thing. And yet he also knows that like he shouldn't think that way, but it still feels silly and just yeah. But he tucks the list in his pocket.
So, got a week to kind of think
I
things over. Have you eaten yet today?
um
Are we doing this on
no,
an empty stomach?
I I might have. I
I think that might
Decimal
fix a
did
thing or
just
two.
kind of surprise me.
Okay, let's get some food.
Okay.
I'm going to start herding Matthias to the kitchen. Can't
Yep.
think on an empty stomach. The world is a lot less catastrophic when you're
When
not on
you
an
are
empty
full.
stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
To be Oh, go
I don't
ahead.
know, unless Matthias has further questions, that I think Craigory's kind of exhausted his resource pool that he can think of.
Yeah. I want him to tattle, but I don't. There wasn't ever a good spot.
On the other hand, that could be a really funny way to just end it. They're chowing in the kitchen, and Craigory's like, yeah, emotionally taxing conversation on that, but like, I'm glad at least to have some context for this week. Oh my god, you don't know what the Pack Link's been like. He has been something. And like, even on the day where I guess he didn't go talk to the Weave, I didn't know he could do that. Yeah, like, he'd been weird before that too.
Yeah.
Like, you know when you can like tell a cat is up to no good? I was having that like.
Matthias kind of sitting in the chair, just, yeah, he mentioned that he talked to the Weave, and then he also got his fortune told.
Why do you need his fortune told for? He is a fortune teller. Who's going to do it better than him?
He said he went to the Thrall.
He went to what? Hand slam on table.
Matthias jerks.
Wherever Decimal is, there is a spike of strings down the packed link. Excuse me?
Excuse me?
Drop your location right now.
I just want to talk. And I think that's a good spot.
I think that's a good spot.
Say goodbye to our listening audience.
Man, bye.
Bye-bye.
No, not the disconnect button. Stop recording button.